Hi everyone, today we will be going over 5th grade lesson 33 of the Elevate curriculum. Just like any other lesson, you will be spending 5 minutes on the sprint. The 5 minutes does include the review. So you may want to give them 4 minutes to actually work through the sprint and then maybe 1 minute to go over 1 or 2 of these sets. I would suggest at any given time to go over the 4s, go over the 6s, 7s, 8s, or even 9s, because that's what we see our students struggle with the most. So this day is one of those lessons where you have 2 skills that they are going to be working on. The first one is around understanding customary and metric units of measure, and then the second one is on adding and subtracting fractions. So anytime I internalize, I want to see what skill students are actually going to be practicing. So for the customary metrics lesson, it seems like they are going to be figuring out what is the better estimate for each measure given 2 different units of measure. And then for the adding and subtracting fractions, it seems as though they are going to be using fraction models to identify how to add and subtract fractions. So with that in mind, I am going to go to the first lesson and pull on specific skills that will set them up for success for that practice. In terms of comparing different units of measure, this question right here is going to be ideal for you to model in front of students. So it asks you, does a drinking glass hold half a liter or half a milliliter of water? Now, students might have a tough time, identifying what a liter looks like, what a milliliter looks like. So at the back of this internalization document, you can print this resource page out for students, but it provides students with a visual of what each unit of measurement looks like. So that specific question is asking students to compare liters and milliliters. What we see is that a liter is approximately the amount of liquid needed to fill a large water bottle, whereas a milliliter is the amount of liquid that takes up the space in a medicine dropper. So we know that that question was asking for half of a liter. So what I would do if I was thinking aloud this question is I would ask students, will half of a water bottle fill up a glass of water, or will half of this medicine dropper fill up a glass of water? Students should then be able to identify. You can push them into a turn and talk when you ask that question. Students should then be able to identify that half of this large bottle of water will be the right amount to fill up that glass of water. So then you can release students to work on these 4 questions, question 1, 2, 3, and 4, using that same process as well as the resource page. For the adding and subtracting fractions lesson, the question that you are going to want to model is this question right here, question A. So it tells students to add 1/6 plus 4/6. You are going to model in different colors, you drawing 1/6, and then with a different color, you shading in another 4/6 to identify that there are 5/6 shaded in the entire fraction model. Now, this lesson, again, requires you to add and subtract fractions. So you want to be mindful because this lesson is this question that you have just modeled is only addition. So we also want to model a subtraction question. I think that it will be very important for you to model this question as well. So 5/6 minus 3/6 equals 2/6. Dylan says that his model is the same as this equation. What would we say about Dylan's model? Once you have done the addition question, some students should be able to maybe grapple with this subtraction question, so you can release them into a 1 minute turn and talk and see what ideas they have come up with within their pairs or within their triads. However, you do want to voice over that Daniel's model is incorrect. So Daniel has shaded in 5 out of 5 pieces, meaning that his fraction started out with 5 fifths. And then he took away 3 fifths, which would lead to 2 fifths. So if Dylan wanted to make a correct model, it would look like this. 6 total pieces, because the fraction that we were supposed to work with was 5/6. 5 of them should be shaded in, and then 3 of them should be taken away. Once you have modeled those 2 questions, then you can release students to work on the practice problems. If students are struggling, you can also go over B and C with them before you release them to their independent practice. But if they get it, they can do this entire page on their own or with a partner.